advanced students who require a higher level of musical challenge. So the addition of chamber orchestra would create a second-tier orchestra that would be on par with the band and choir courses and provide the much-needed enrichment experience for our advanced string instrument players. As far as a course description, a summary of that is it would be a full-year course open to students in grades 10 through 12 by audition, and students will study at an advanced level orchestral repertoire, playing techniques and performance skills on their string instrument, music theory concepts, music history integration, composition and improvisation, and there will be multiple performances throughout the year. So that is the short sound bite for you. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you have about this proposal.
Well, I have two, but I'll let you go first if people have any questions. Is this strings only, or is this a symphonic orchestra?
It will be a string orchestra.
Okay. And why 10 through 12 if it's audition only? What's the thought process for not having incoming ninth graders be able to audition if they are good enough to make the ensemble?
I think that's to run parallel with what the band and the choir programs already do.
Okay.
So I think that's just to be equitable across the
But their select
department.
programs are 10 through 12 as well?
Yes.
Audition based?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
How many students do you have in orchestra currently?
Ms. Garriella?
46.
46.
So you don't think this will cannibalize both of our programs? I mean, that would always be my concern, that you have probably, for the most part, the same population competing for these two courses.
So, as far as the high school string player?
Yeah, absolutely.
So right now there's one orchestra and it has grades 9 through 12. And you can imagine a freshman string player from a senior string player. It's quite a bit of difference of skill level. So what we want to do is be able to provide a course for either advanced sophomores and up, to be able to learn music at a deeper level. I believe the plan is if we look kind of further down, like where you see the concert cycle, and Ms. Garriell, correct me if I'm wrong, is that the students who participate in the chamber orchestra course would learn the full string orchestra repertoire in addition to their own repertoire. So we aren't dividing the group that currently is in existence now, but what we're doing is we're providing an additional enrichment opportunity for the students that need it. Chamber, by definition, is for a smaller group of orchestras, the French word for group. That's where it comes from.
The other question I have is in the section on staffing implications, it talks about adjusting the balance of the full-time orchestra teacher is stationed at the high school each day. It sounds like you don't expect to add staffing, but how does that impact what goes on at the middle and elementary school levels in this program?
That's a great question. Currently, well, in discussions with Dave Lubowski, he is saying that this course could be scheduled either periods 1 or 3, that those are the possibilities. So currently that would fit in with the high school orchestra's teacher schedule as far as being able to teach the 2 orchestras in the morning and then be able to mid-morning leave and head to the elementary buildings. It will be a very full schedule. We're working very, very hard, but we really believe in the importance of creating equitable opportunities at the high school for all of our musicians.
But you don't believe that we would need to hire a part-time or a full-time teacher at the other levels because of the scheduling that's required in this course, or these 2 courses?
I believe that there's a possibility that we could potentially rearrange a little bit at the elementary level some of the teaching schedules. I will tell you the string schedules are full, but I do think that we can be creative with that.
We talked a lot about that because it's going to be a tight schedule. We want to support that. It looks like, based on numbers we see now, that we would be able to do that without staffing. And the high school was in agreement that as long as it didn't increase staffing, that we would move forward. So at this point, it looks
STEM program proposals.
Okay, good evening, everyone. For those of you I haven't met, there's a few new faces since I was at a board meeting last time. I'm Matt Pleisman, Pembridge grad, Pembridge community member, Pembridge parent. I love working here and I love what I teach and everything. So I'm always really excited to talk about anything we're doing. And those of you that haven't heard me say this, please come into our rooms and see what we're doing. We'd be more than happy to share what we do. We're all very proud of it. So we have two proposals tonight. I'm speaking on behalf of Alan Andrikaitis, who is at, Alan and I are part of a national group of STEM guitar teachers. I had a family wedding this week, so that's why I didn't go, but he's out in Indiana working with that group. So he asked me to come and speak tonight, so I'm happy to do that. So the first one is, we have we had three levels of woodworking, and now this year we have a fourth, because freshmen coming into the high school can take any of our first level Tech A classes as freshmen now. So this class, Artistic Wood 3, was first written, I would guess, about a decade ago, if not over a decade ago. So Alan and I work a lot on talking about the future and where we're going as a department. And this past summer we wrote the Wood 4 curriculum and realized that it's been a real long time since Wood 3 had been updated or talked about. With this course, there is some costs involved. Two things we are asking for. One of them is called a wide belt sander, which is talked about in this first paragraph. And then the second one is called an automatic tool changer. I'll try and make this as easy as possible if you're not familiar with woodworking. Basically, a wide belt sander is a machine. It's not a handheld machine. It is a floor-mounted machine that has a sanding belt in it, and you can very easily, user-friendly, these newer models, send a piece of wood through, or a glued-up tabletop, or a panel to a cabinet, or a trunk that you're building, to send it through to get it level and also sand it at the same time. I can speak from experience where I used to work. I had a very older version of these machines. It broke down all the time. I was the only one who could operate it because it just wasn't reliable enough for students. And that's why here at Pembridge we have an older model of things called drum sanders. Also run by the teacher, not by the students. Well now, related to the STEM guitar thing, Alan and I were in Washington State this summer, and out there, some of the guys that we've become friends with have some amazing facilities. And one of the things that is kind of a standard are these newer versions of wide belt sanders that students can use. They are reliable enough, easy enough to use, obviously very safe enough for a student to use. And the real emphasis of why we'd be asking for this is it helps alleviate time of hand sanding. We're really proud of what we do in our department, especially woodworking, but a lot of their time is spent sanding, which is not really a great learning curve skill, if you will. You know, once students have kind of mastered it, it doesn't really get any faster. They still have to do it. It's not something, you can definitely get better at it, but it doesn't really cut a lot of time down. And when you talk about what would you rather have students doing, well now, along with the workshop we did this summer, we're trying to incorporate 3D drawings and modeling just on our CAD classes that Bob Miller teaches, but in all of our classes. So our hope would be something like this can alleviate time of students doing sanding and then do some of these new, if you will, 21st century skills that they're learning in the middle school now with the awesome rewrite that we've done down there. That's just one example of what this could do with for us, cutting about a third of the time down of sanding. They still do need to do some hand sanding afterwards, but it would greatly increase the amount of time that they can spend on other things. The other machine, or add-on actually in this case, is called an ATC, an automatic tool changer. So in the middle schools they have CNC router machines. We also have them up here. One of the biggest drawbacks with CNC machines are the time that it takes the operator. In all cases it's the teacher. We don't allow the students to change the tooling on them, which would mean if it was drilling a hole, you got to take the drill bit out and now put in a cutting bit. Well, that takes time, and there's downtime that the teacher has to be doing that instead of something else or whatever it may be. Or it might be, okay, I have the machine set up for this today. You get it done, you got to wait till tomorrow till I set up the next thing and stuff like that. What this does is, and these are really cool to see in action, is it's a vacuum suction system. The machine does its cutting, then goes over, drops the bit, picks up the next one, and that's all part of the programming that the students would be doing in these advanced level woodworking classes. The reason why this wasn't asked for last year when this machine was proposed, it just came in this summer and Alan's been working with it, is this option wasn't available yet. Maverick, the company, Maverick Legacy, they didn't have this available yet. So they are now, so that's why we're asking for it now. So you have, well I guess, are there any questions about the two machines? Yes?
How many CNC, don't we have two in high school now? Didn't we get two?
There's one in each of the wood shops, and then I have one in the guitar building room.
So we have three. So are you gonna need three of these?
No, the tool changer only goes to the newest one that Alan got. It doesn't go to the other CNCs that we have.
Okay. Is that the same for the middle schools?
No, no. This is only for, I mean, it'd be great if we all had them.
I'm just
but
wondering if you're gonna come
no.
back to me for like 5 more of these things.
As far as I know, the CNCs that the rest of us have, tool changers aren't even an option on them. So that's not,
So you have to do all the work.
yeah. At the summer workshop, we were kidding that I'm the tool changer with these. Yeah. So no, that is not a thought in our mind that, oh, we'll get this one the next year. No, as far as I know, my machine can't even have a tool changer.
Okay. How long does it really take to sand something?
It can take a while.
Try it, and you'll find
I
out.
It depends what you're
Get her a
sanding.
block of
If you're
wood.
trying
Right.
to sand off something that's stained or something
Right.
that's painted,
Right.
but aren't they usually getting new wood and so they're just sanding it so it's smooth, right?
Well, I'm trying to think of the best way to get stuff really good is beyond what you see in stores. Like the way stuff, Walmart and Target, that's not even wood. But to even find stuff in a store isn't the quality we're shooting for. You have to actually go to a furniture maker for the quality we're shooting for. The guitars, for example, my kids spend at least 2 weeks sanding their bodies before we stain them or paint them. Because I tell the kids who are painting their guitars that they're due this week to paint. That's why it's in my head. That paint only, amplifies your mistakes. The smallest little nicks or scratches, paint shoots it out. Now I know a lot of our furniture doesn't get painted, but the same thing happens when you apply oil and things like that. So our kids spend actually a lot of time sanding.
So I would think that, as you already kind of alluded to, that in the middle school, you don't necessarily need this because they're doing more basic projects.
Mm-hmm.
But I can see how, since we do have them starting in middle school, now they're going up, by the time they get to high school, they are going to be doing projects that will require a lot more time spent on detail.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
but you said this thing gets mounted into the floor,
So the belt sander
the big
unit,
thing. Yeah, the wide belt sand.
Yeah.
What's the size of it? The actual size of
The machine we're looking at is actually kind of maybe a little bit wider than this podium. And then depending on how big of a board you would want to send through it, you would need room on either side of it. But that's another great thing about these newer units. The one I had where I used to work was like 8 feet wide and like 8 feet, it literally created like a wall in the middle of your shop. Whereas these are much more compact, but can handle like the same piece of wood, if you will.
But there's room in the classroom that you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
That's what I.
Yeah.
And would this wide belt sander service all your woodworking shops? Like, would they all come to this room to use
Well,
it?
the benefit for kids in 337 where Alan teaches is all 4 levels that he would have would benefit from it. Jim Murkowski teaches next to him, so he could easily have benefits to it. I'm kind of the overflow for woodworking downstairs where like this year I teach one of them. I could work out a time to, if I wanted to, go up. So yes, it could benefit the entire woodworking
So
program.
we just need one, we wouldn't need one in every classroom eventually? just-
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any other questions?
Dr. Strike, these are program improvements, so they're budgeted through program improvement.
That is correct.
That was cool.
Um,
Oh, and then I just also wanted, you kind of already answered the question, but they'll still learn how to do it by hand.
Yes.
So that they
Yeah,
learn that.
yeah,
part
absolutely,
and
yes,
We're not,
yes.
okay.
Because what this, the automated sanders won't give you as good of a job, a final job as a person would. So these are really good in the beginning stages, and that's when it's really time consuming getting all
Yeah.
those scratches out. Whereas later on, you want to be doing it by hand anyway to get it smooth and
Okay.
all that,
Just
yes.
want to make sure they're still having the hands-on
Yes.
parts.
Yes.
Okay.
I was just curious, at the tech school, sometimes they make products and sell them. With all this equipment that we have we thought of doing something like that? And can we do something like that?
I don't, honestly, I can't answer that because I'm not really familiar with what the tech school does. I know we'd certainly be open to learning about it and then we could talk about it, but I don't have an opinion on it because I honestly didn't know that they did that.
Well, the tech school has closed their,
Right, and that's why I'm wondering if we could, well, now that we're doing all of these things and we have the advanced tools, it might be something, a good resource for the community too, so.
We certainly can explore that. I will tell you this though, at the arts festival, when I try to go up to students and say, can I buy it?
They won't sell it.
They won't
Yeah,
sell it.
that's what I was actually thinking. There's always
I
people that want to buy
it's
stuff at the art show.
for my mom, it's for my grandmother, but I see your point, and I think that's something we can look into, but when they finally have that product, boy, are they proud. And you see.
And rightfully
like,
so,
oh
if
my
you go to the
gosh,
arts festival.
it's just
Yeah.
amazing, really is. I tried. I want to take on a rocking chair.
Right, so does anybody have any objection to moving this proposal?
Now, as someone who's wrestled with those old-fashioned belt sanders, I think that's a great idea.
Right.
Yeah.
How much is it?
It's, sorry, it's down here.
Sure, yeah.
Well, both, the wide belt Sanders 20,000, the APC is 10. So two different things, but they're
Do you see how many devices can you interchange at once?
I think it holds 5,
Okay.
but I don't know.
They're all chunked.
Yeah,
Chunks.
yes, yep.
I think it's a time, it does make sense to me to get something that will save the time, because you only have 46 minutes or whatever you're,
Right,
so
yes.
you don't have a lot of
And then
time.
you just program it, then it goes around, does it?
Yeah, it's, yeah, you,
Makes sense.
with, the program that we're trying to use is called Fusion 360, which is a free 3D modeling and CAM software that's cloud-based. So it's a really kind of great solution at the high school where the kids have a laptop and they can run some cloud-based. When you program those CAM modules for this cut takes less, the software actually knows to tell if there is a ATC, to tell it to, okay, at this point, now go change your bit, and it's really pretty crazy when you see them working.
So it kind of gears them towards like a machinist type of
Right,
career.
yeah. Which is what the Wood 4 class that we wrote over the summer is heavily based in CNC work. Because that's now what is kind of an industry standard. So not that we're ever preparing kids for a job here at the high school, you know, it's a tech school's kind of focus. We still like give them the experience of, hey, here, you know, just like in any class, here's what the real world's doing. And, yeah. So that's the idea with that.
So when you have incoming freshmen come into your wood shop, do you ever suggest if they have a high interest that they should pursue going to the tech school?
Yeah, what Jim Rakowski and I usually talk at 8th grade parents' night, and that's probably the most common question. You know, they love STEM or woodworking in the middle school. And we try and tell them, you know, if they really feel like that's the route they want to go, then investigate it, pursue it. We also say, you know, as a 9th grader, you could come here and, you know, end up going there as a 10th grader or whatever too. You know, that I would just say to a kid either way to try something and then not like it, like, oh, I came here, I really wish I went there or I went there, you know. So you try and give them the best explanation you can, but.
What kind of warnings do we get with all these?
Can
Generally?
you speak up, please?
What kind of warnings do we get since they are equipment and they will break eventually?
That's a great question. I don't know offhand because Alan was the one researching these things. We do have a kind of a guy on call, a maintenance guy who's really great. He serves kind of the Delaware Valley, and even more so, he's from up in Nazareth. And he's really good because when I worked at another school, I used him, and one of my machines went down, and he contacted the company and found out it was under warranty at the time and stuff. So I would think particulars I can't answer, but I would feel pretty confident in.
And Matt, we can get that
Yeah.
information. We get that
I
information.
just
Okay.
No, that would be good to know.
and that would probably be a little bit standard.
Yeah.
Okay, that's, how many years is the standard?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, I thought you were telling me. We'll get that information to you.
And you have a part 2, right? Of the
Yes.
presentation?
Yeah, are we ready for that? Okay. So the next part is something that I think is an awesome idea. That's offering our 3rd level, which is the one we just talked about, and our level 4 classes with honors credit. We talked about the art show earlier, and if you've ever been there, discussing honors for these is kind of a challenge. It keeps wrestling in my head, but if you've been to the art show, it really is incredible what our kids do, especially in woodworking. So to say, well, what would you do to make it honors? We're at honors already. That's like where Pembroke Tech Ed has been. So when you look at neighboring districts, that's when you can compare what, say, general woodworking would be to honors. We're not proposing to have 2 classes. It's that level 3 and level 4 would become honors credit. For students, we know there's a lot of student interest in it, and that students would be really excited for this. I know Alan and I, we talked about, you know, comparing. Well, he started looking at the curriculum that we've written in 3 and 4 and comparing it to colleges. And that's rarely where we see the comparable kind of terminology and what you want to do in the curriculum. So that's, again, it's tough for me to say, oh, well, we'd be doing this, this, and this. I did talk about level 4 and how we're incorporating the CNC, but also in level 3, kids will get introduced to it. It's not a requirement in level 3, but students can certainly pursue using computer and programming in level 3. But sometimes I feel inadequate as a teacher, not that I teach these, but I go to the art show and I'm like, how's a kid do that? I can't even do that. It's incredible what they do. And again, I'm so proud to be part of this, what we do here. But that's really the truth of it. Alan's been at honors for decades now, what he's doing here, so, I think it's just kind of that we're catching up to it. I know guidance has talked to him for years about proposing this. You know, kids want to get honors credits for classes that they want to be taking, electives. That's only just a natural fit for that.
Well, I think we have, isn't band and chorus, aren't they have honors designation on them at certain level.
Yes.
Sometimes, yeah. And of course, we have AP studio art too, so it's not as if we don't have classes that have that distinction. So I would support recognizing students that have this kind of talent and put in the effort that they do, because I think giftedness is, you can be gifted in myriad
Right.
areas, right?
Sure.
And so I don't think that we should recognize one more than another, so I would be fine with giving them the honors designation, because like Peter just said, if you've been to the art show, your spring display, I think you see the talent that's there, so.
Now, when will they start to receive honors credit? Will that go into effect this year or not till next year?
The retro.
I don't know if I have the answer to that.
We have never retro. This is a program improvement proposal for next year.
But are we changing, because it sounds like we're not changing anything, so if the kids this year are doing the same thing as the kids next year,
I
does
see
it
a
make
lot.
sense to also give them that honors credit?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, if you're not changing it, I can see someone saying,
Well, here's just an argument. What if a student would have taken it, was looking for honors courses, took a different honors course, but didn't take that, and then that gets a little money?
Well, that's,
So what?
it's kind of too late.
I'm sorry.
And so the question you also have is students who took it last year, because I heard you say there are some juniors in the course, and there
Mhm.
probably were some current seniors who were in it last year. And are you going to award them?